All right, Parky. So, mate, you went into the Gympie Gauntlet last week, mate, for the Challenger Series that was held up there. Mate, we're just going to roll straight into a player review from that Challenger Series. Mate, two pools, obviously. Both pools are mixed. And in the first pool, mate, Macca Adams from Old Shots & Co. He was a clear winner there for that pool with 2,760 points.
Yeah, mate, really well. You can see here on screen that he's got his last game he was pretty dominant. That's tough to do in a power round, but he's 840 points. That's way above the normal average. I mean, you can see sort of bookended it with two high scores, but he let himself down in game 2 and 3, but did extremely well.
Yeah, and Grace Conroy leading the way for the girls pretty comfortably with 1,750 points there in pool 1.
Yeah, mate, also ended up a 10K player. So Gracie's got herself into obviously a marquee player. So Ankle Breakers ended up with 3 marquee players, and Grace was one of them. And also, again, we can see here, not pretty good scores, mate, pretty good scores. Just again in game 4, one of the first power rounds, probably let herself down a little bit there, but still some really good scores there to get herself into 4th, overall, on top of the for the girls in that one. So did really well.
So, mate, trying to keep up consistency over 5 games, do you think it's a difficult thing for players to do at the moment in these early stages of Challenger Series?
I think the ones that have played a couple of events, mate, understand what they're trying to do. They understand the urgency to, okay, we've got 20 minutes. Let's just bang out as much as I can in that 20 minutes, get, that high involvement. The ones that are sort of doing it and they're there for social, which is plenty, which is great. That's where that's where you'll get the scores of that sort of the 175s and those sorts of ones where you're sort of just cruising along with the game. So yeah, I think there's a few factors involved.
I suppose from a player's point of view, mate, you would end up, you look at the leaderboards and you'll go, oh, I went pretty good. And then you'll sort of go, what if I can see game 2 here. I was just really having a bit of fun. But if I didn't, geez, I could have been in chance for the bit of the cash.
Mate, I'm just listening to the people after events going, oh, I'd like to do this and I'd like to get more points. And they're realising now their involvement in games is not as high as what it should be. So it's really to understand the fact that, okay, if I'm on the outside link or I'm a winger, I need to get involved in the game a lot more other than waiting for the ball to come to me. So I reckon it's a real education piece for some players out there as well to go, oh, hang on, how do I get more points? Well, you've got to get involved in the game.
Yeah. Mate, in pool 2, mate, we roll into that. Caleb Crow from the Paddies. He to what, 10 points a little more than what Macca Adams did in pool 1, so 2750. Mate, he edged out one of last year's winners, mate, Ryan Engel from the Bushrangers on 2,315. So that would have been a good tussle.
It was, mate. I mean, these two teams, Paddies and Bushrangers, did really well on the weekend. They had sort of a couple of, definitely towards those last games, played really sort of coming up against each other. But Caleb did well, mate. I mean, again, you can see, his top score there of 800 that's a really good score. Then sort of game 2, 750, pretty solid. But game 5 let him down. And he would have been way higher on the sort of the major leaderboard as well. But Ryan's back up there. He knows how to do it. He's pretty consistent across the board. He just needs to lift those sort of average scores to 600s and he'll be back to his winning ways that he was in 2025.
And mate, in the girls there, Maddie Park from the Bushrangers took out the women's top rank in pool 2 with 1,765 points, just in front of Em Steffens from Paddy's on 1,630.
Yeah, mate. I think well, Maddie and Em did really well. The event sort of neck there. I mean, there's not difference, but you can see there, imagine game 1 and also game 4, just let herself down there a little bit. So if she can pick up that and get a bit more high involvement there, she'll be way up the leaderboard. But to finish 5th overall and for Em Steffens to finish 6th, great for the girls getting involved in the game. I think this is what you'll find Challenger Series is all about, is making sure now that the girls can realise, hey, I need to get my hands on the ball more often. You don't have to be a middle. You can see Em's got herself down as a winger for Paddy. So that's interesting. That's an interesting sort of interesting what's going on there, whether they were using the shifting the ball really well or she was getting herself involved. But both Maddie and Em did really well.
I think, mate, wingers in this are important, mate, because if you're going for left corner, right corners, tries to get those extra points, you need good finishes, mate. And if it's mixed, obviously a lot of mixed teams play with the girls on the wings. And if you can get some really good girl wingers who can finish well, I reckon they'll rack up plenty of points.
I agree, Paddy. And with what you're looking at, so you can see Ryan and Maddie were in the same team here. They worked well off the back of each other. Maddie putting little kicks in for Ryan chasing through, grabbing. So there was about 3 or 4 of those happening through those events. They were both picking up those points for primary assists. Yeah, exactly. So there was a few of those going on as well. So, but it was super interesting, actually.
Yeah. Mate, and just looking at the team review, mate, after we've had a look at the individuals, Mate, the team review there, Bush Rangers obviously and Paddy's were neck and neck in mixed pool 2 for most of the event, mate, and we can see that on screen now.
Yeah, fantastic there. Really even across the board. You can see there a couple of faults there with, with game 3 for the Bush Rangers. Looking at game 1 and game 4 were probably expensive for Paddy's, and that's sort of probably what cost them in the end. I'm not getting that challenges, but they were pretty dominant. If you look at the marquee players, the Paddy's are again still fit under the salary cap. They're going to be able to keep that team together. But this marquee players up here made up of 2 guys and a girl. Perfect. We're allowed to have that, and they can move along to the next event. I mean, the Bush Rangers again winning the event under the salary cap. Fantastic. And again, the major rank finishing overall. For major rank there overall is all good.
Yeah, mate, 70,000. So they're close to it, and 74,000. So they've got pretty well balanced teams there, mate. Both of those,
mate, fantastic. They've set themselves up well for the next event for sure.
Yeah, mate. In Pool 1, the Coastbusters from Harvey Bay edged out the Ankle Breakers and Old Shots and Co. by 2 and 3 points. But between first place and third place, there was only 3 points in it.
Mate, super close. I mean, this is a super close pool. Obviously, the Coastbusters did a good job there. But I mean, if you look at that, it's super interesting. If you look at the salary cap, whilst the Coastbusters took this out, they haven't done themselves any favors at all. And we'll cover them a little bit more later when we get to the cap watch. But super interesting the results here. They play well, but it was a super close division.
Yeah, mate, that would have to be one of the closest pools we've had in Challenger, isn't it?
It is,
between 3 teams like that. Only one.
By far. It was an arm wrestle for all of each time they played. It was actually super interesting, throughout the weekend. But you can see the differences. You can't have a bad game. You can see there the old shots and go there in game 2. Only racked up 7 points. They clearly didn't get the X challenge, and you need to get the X challenge. You can look at Ankle Breakers in game 1, didn't get the X challenge. You need to get the X challenge if you're going to be, anywhere at the top of these leaderboards, in these Challenger Series events.
Yeah, and it's all about the timing of those X challenges too, mate. So you can score in, good points of the field for longer periods of time. So it's a balance there, mate. But I think you were telling me earlier about the crazy finish between the Coastbusters taking the win on the final pass from Ryan Lehman. Is that what happened?
Well, that's Ryan's version. I didn't see it. That's Ryan's version of the story, but cracker story. I mean, the last pass of the last game, and for a female try, gets them the win.
Yeah.
Otherwise, if that doesn't happen, they don't get the win. They don't finish on top. But his story, not mine. So, but he's a trustworthy lad. So I reckon
Ryan doesn't embellish at all. So
he does not.
Worry about it. No,
he does not. He does not.
So, mate, as you mentioned before, the cap watch, mate. If we have a look at, there's a couple of teams there we'll want to have a look at with the cap watch. Kick and Giggle, mate. There was also a Warwick event on the weekend. I heard that was a little bit cold.
Mate, it was freezing. Let me jump in here and get into Kick and Giggle so we can check them out and just have a look at what's going on.
Because it was a morning event, right?
Yeah, it was a morning event. Yeah, well planned. That was a good one. Yeah, well planned. But did freeze. It was super cold. It was just a wind. The wind just went right through you. But it wasn't great. My skinny frame did not deal with it.
So Kick and Giggle, mate, they were up there. Mate, were they a local team or where were they from, mate?
No, Kick and Giggle actually came from the Tweed down Gold Coast way, mate.
So made the cap watch this week. So we're looking at Kick and Giggle, and we'll also look at Coastbusters from Harvey Bay. Kick and Giggle, obviously at the Warwick event, which is a bit chilly, like you said, in the morning up there, mate. They ended up on 84,000, so they've smashed the cap. So what are we looking at there, mate? What do they need to improve on here?
Well, I think, we'll get to in a minute from the Gympie Gauntlet, mate. But if you look at Kick and Giggle here, it's super interesting. Both teams ended up on 84. Both won their respective events in their pools.
Yeah.
Both ended up on 84, but we've got 2 different stories going on here. We can see here Kick and Giggle have got 4 players at 10K. All right, so automatically these guys are going to have to lose 2 players. Gone, right? And we can see Dylan, Fletcher Muldoon, Jackson Cook, and Tyler Harper here are the 4 players.
They're all males.
They're all males, mate. So, and they absolutely dominated. Those 4 guys dominated. Then there were some girls that did really well in there as well. However, those 4 were extremely dominant during the course of the weekend. And Dylan actually did his hammy in game 2, but was still there. The guys were feeding him all weekend, and that's probably a conversation we'll have on another day. But that's a different kind of salary cap makeup. You can see there only won $8,000 play. They finished pretty well in front on that. They were pushed in some games, but this is a different makeup here. So they will lose 2 players for sure, without a doubt. They have to lose.
Yeah. And the Coastbusters from Harvey Bay, mate.
Yeah, so let me just go and see if I can find them for a sec, mate.
The funny thing is, mate, as you're looking for that, Kick and Giggle, obviously, as you said, that they've come up from Tweed to play at Warwick. That's a couple of hours away. And then Coastbusters have come from Harvey Bay down to Gympie, which is probably an hour and a half. Is that a couple of hours from there?
About an hour and a half. Yeah, totally.
Yeah. So it's interesting to see all these guys traveling for Challenger Series. And obviously, some have the intention of chasing cash. That would be some of their reasoning. But they're obviously, we'll get to that later. But
we get to that later, right? So, but mate, look, and I think it's a good thing, mate. And if you talk to Ryan, who's up on screen here now in the Coastbusters, I mean, Ryan, they came down to Caloundra last year. They just really like the social element. Yeah. So I mean, they're loving that. They're loving getting away because some of these players they won't typically play in their local comps in their social series, but they'll come away and they'll do this, and they just get to mix it up with a few different players, and they're really enjoying that fact that they can do that. So if we go back to the salary cap here, you can see these guys finished on 84 again, top of their pool. Yeah. But again, look at the makeup of what we've got here. So we've got 2 $10,000 players, and we've got 5 $8,000 players. So this was a really heavy team that a lot of players shared the love with what was going on. So you can see here the 2, Ryan and Stevie Minigal both finished on 10, so they can stay in there. They don't need to move any marquee players out. However, they're going to have to move some, $8,000 players out there to get them under that cap for next time. So whilst it's a similar or same salary cap as what the Kick and Giggle crew were, it's up of where the player fact of what they do there. So they're going to have to move some of these $8,000 players on and bring some other players in to fit themselves under the salary cap for the next event.
Yeah. Mate, did this team also play up at Harvey Bay, mate?
This Coastbusters team?
Yeah. Did they play at during the Harvey? They did.
No, they didn't actually. No. So Ryan's the host up there at Harvey Bay. He's typically running these. I know some of the players. I know Steve was one of the refs up there, but all the other players fit into different teams. So it was interesting the dynamic of what's going on. Yeah.
So they would bring their own personal salary cap into that team, but the actual makeup of the team would change because if they played really well in another team and they've come in, that would have changed their total overall points before they started. Did you say they played down in Sunny Coast earlier last year?
Sunny Coast. Yeah, that's right, mate. So no matter what event they play, and they're going to drag that with them, and that's what they got. That's what they've got to be mindful of.
Yeah. Well, that's interesting because moving from team to team can actually hurt the team that you're loyal to.
That's right. Exactly right, mate. Exactly right.
Yeah, mate. The team highlight for this week, mate. Age to Perfection, mate. They're heading out. I think they're playing this Friday night at the Freaky Friday event at Caloundra. Is that right?
That's right. That's exactly right. I mean, look, the reason why I like this one, mate, obviously Age to Perfection. I mean, we are getting along the older side of things.
Yeah.
So I thought it was a good one for this week to review. So I'll just see if I can find it here.
Mate, I'd be interested to see how they go, actually, if they do have a bit of age in their side, because I reckon they're underestimated. I think the older players are going to be underestimated in Challenger Series and what they bring to a team. And the fact that they'll hold their value of 4 to 6 to 8,000 most of the time, they probably won't exceed that. And they're quality players to have, especially throughout the middle of the field.
I agree, mate. Like, O'Shea's a perfect example of a player who, whilst
event.
Well, no, he actually played an event. He just ended up being a $4,000 player from his last event, so he didn't shift any value. However, he can use the ball well, so he's going to be. He might score a lot of tries, but he's definitely going to be in the mix, and he's a crucial player to have in your team without a doubt.
Yeah, and a lot of those players in there, mate, are they social series players, representative players?
You've got a mix. Yeah, you've got a mix, but a lot of the girls definitely have played rep before in some of the older, which is going to be interesting to see how they all go. But yeah, you've definitely got a mix of players who don't play a lot of reps, but you've also got players in here, the Jeff Taylors, the Alicia Foxes, the Michelle Gerrys in there, Maddie Kellett. You've got players that have played for a lot of years, and you've got some other players that haven't played a lot either.
Well, I reckon they'll probably have one of the best times too. I'm sure they'll bring their social side with it. Mate, their logo is a little bit baseball themed. I really like the logo.
I'm loving the logo.
So good.
Yeah, I like the logo. I mean, that's what we want, right? We want some of these teams that are coming up, and some next week, and whoever you bring up. But I mean, the logos are so important for the fact that you attract some sponsors. So bring some sponsors on board. Make sure you got a good name. Make sure you got a good logo. I mean, I think age to perfection. That sounds like a good bourbon or a good scotch to me.
Yeah, it certainly is, mate.
So maybe that's well, maybe more like a fine wine or something like that, So, but that's where I'd be going with it. But yeah, age to perfection for me is my team, team review for this week, team highlight. But I look forward to seeing what you've got next week, mate.
Yeah, mate, and I wouldn't mind seeing how they go next week and just have a quick look at their salary cap at the end of the event. That'd be good.
Well, let's do that. That might be something we bring into the pod. We'll check out how we go, and they'll either finish on top or maybe not.
Yeah. Mate, and obviously we've got a hot tip this week, mate. Let's get your shirt numbers sorted prior to the event day. It's something that I think we've mentioned before. Is this something that keeps coming up at Challenger Series, mate?
It does, and it's super important, for players to understand that you've got to get it done. If you've got the wrong shirt on, your tries aren't going to count. So you need to get it done early. Don't do it on the day because it is quite stressful for the hosts who are running the event, try to sort it out, and also for the team managers that are putting teams together to make sure they've got the right shirts on there. So I would be definitely organised, because if you do have the wrong shirt on and you do score a try system, it ain't going to count.
Yeah, mate. And also, it's not going to help yourself anyway when it comes to the points you're going to accumulate through the whole tournament anyway. So it's for your own sake. It's not, it's important for you to get that done.
100%.
If you want to win some dollars in the end.
Absolutely.
Mate, do you want to move on to some rumours and some upcoming events?
I think we have to.
Right. Well, mate, obviously you touched on it a little bit before. It's more than a rumour that Dylan Stenshome travelled to Warwick on the weekend. Now, over the last couple of pods, we spoke about a couple of leaders on the leaderboards that were doing quite well. And I reckon that reached the ears of a young Dylan Stenshome, knowing that he's probably out of the cash and he's taken himself up to Warwick, of all places, which is a couple of hours away for him to play in that mixed division, to get himself on the leaderboard, mate. And I'm not sure if this is the part of the rumour I need to unravel, but, mate, did he just sneak in by 5 points? Is this what I'm hearing?
This is the rumour, Andrew. This is the rumour. And look, it hasn't been made official yet. It will be made official later in the week. Obviously, we've got a lot of the bi-monthly prizes have been giving away. But at the moment, the rumour is he has won by 5 points. So just in front of Maxi Lubanuski from Townsville, who played up there in the NQ Challenge event. He's just snuck in. Now it's important to note, Dylan in this event on the weekend did his hammy in the second game.
Did he continue to play?
He kept playing. And in the last couple of games, his team helped him out. Like, he was in the right spot. They fed him the ball, but he was in the right spot to do it. He was trying hard, but mate, he's on one leg.
Do you reckon he's sharing the cash with them for helping him out, or did you get to the bottom of any of that on the weekend?
We'd have to ask Dylan. I mean, we'll some of the crew there that were there on the weekend, but the team looked after him really well, and it's a bit of a dilemma for the boys, because those players, they in their own right can finish very high on the leaderboard if they were scoring them themselves. So I don't know if they'll feed him in the future, because it's $1,000 up for grabbing these bi-monthly periods. And mate, those boys in that team, they were extremely good. Extremely. In their own right. Great footage come from on the socials from it.
Some big names there from our representative series too that were in that team that I saw, and they finished highly. So,
and mate, I must say, they played in good spirits. It was good to have them out there. They were just a good bunch. They really got involved in the raffle end of the day. So my hats off to them for coming out there. But yeah, the Dylan 5 points. But again, they did happen to come up some stiff opposition from some Toowoomba teams. There were some teams out there that gave them a run for the money during the event. But those 4 boys were standouts. And obviously Dylan's. But Dylan's got it by 5 at the moment. Rumoured.
So, mate, you mentioned the bi-monthly prizes, mate, and that's for May and June. Obviously, the draws for all those things that Chase the Margin, all the others. Mate, when will the draws be done and when will they be released? But can I ask can we do a scoop on the podcast for those, or is this going to be released on socials before the next podcast?
I don't think we can't do a scoop, mate. It's got to be released on socials. I mean, look, if people are up, all over the leaderboard, they're probably knowing what's going on at the moment. But there are some updates to the system, and the new prize leaderboards will be out, so for people to check out. But I would wait until Friday, and there'll be some socials coming out. The release of all the different sort of socials of the winners will be probably out Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday next week.
Okay, so they'll be early next week.
Yep.
Awesome. That's cool, mate. The upcoming events. So we've got 3 this weekend. So there's quite a bit going on this weekend. As we mentioned just a bit earlier, Freaky Friday in Caloundra. which is obviously on Friday afternoon, Friday night. And I was just chatting to Sharon not long ago. Townsville's got another one going with the NAIDOC challenge that's happening. So that's kicking off as well this weekend. And the social showdown in Rocklea in Brisbane, mate.
Mate, all full books. I mean, I know Sharon and Craig up there in Townsville, again, running their second of Challenger Series events in quick succession. I mean, they got teams on the waiting list. I mean, this is what's starting to happen, which is really cool. Across the board with Challenger Series, we're starting to have, waiting lists. There's limited spots. So in all those events it's very similar. So we'll have media there at that event. We won't at Townsville. However, I know Sharon and Craig will be doing some stuff on the ground for themselves. And then the Brizzy event, we've got some teams.
All right, so Parky, is there any spots for anyone available in any of these? Do we know if somebody's looking for a game?
No, mate. I mean, look, individually, some people may.
That's what I mean.
At the moment, there might be, but all teams are full from what I understand at the moment. That may change. People might have some work commitments over the next few days, but I know they're all full, and I know there's teams on the waiting list for these events as well. So, mate, it's super encouraging to see where OzTag's going and the difference, and also the fact that people are really, embracing the whole Challenger Series, component of the game. It's a big part of where we're going, mate. Look, mate, just going back to Warwick that we discussed before. I know we're going to sign. We're going back to Warwick. There is no comps out at Warwick. There is none of those type.
No.
Warwick. But what's happened is when we were talking to the president there, Jason and the crew out at the Cowboys, is they want to get their juniors having Challenger Series. So when the footy season finished, they start some junior stuff. So that's super encouraging for OzTag in general, just to be widening the net into places that we have never been. And this is like we've got another event coming up soon in Agnes Waters has just got locked in. We don't have OzTag in Agnes. So more of this is going to be happening in towns that we don't have OzTag, and Challenger Series is the vehicle to get us there. So super where this can go.
Yeah. Well, mate, it's a big weekend coming up because we've got 3 events going all over Queensland, which is fantastic. Mate, it's the beginning of the bi-monthly for July and August. So the guys playing this weekend get a good head start, and then they can start looking at a few other events and keep their lead going, I suppose. And then hopefully they don't have a Dylan Stensholm come and ruin it with the last second of the day.
Yeah,
all right. So, mate, that's awesome. Good week. Can't wait for the weekend. So, mate, that's a wrap for this week, and we'll see you next time.
Good, mate.
Cheers, mate.